Hello and welcome to Free the Mind UK, a chat with a therapist. My name is Dave Carson. I'm the host of the show, and I've got a really special guest tonight in the way of the shaman, Kev Bailey. But he's not just a shaman. He has a fusion of several different healing modalities, which I'm sure he'll tell us all about. But before I bring Kev on, I'm going to play our super duper intro video.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents A Chat with a Therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
Welcome, Kev. Can I call you Kev? Kev? Or
yeah, I prefer Kev. Only be bothered me Kevin when I'm in trouble, but
I'm
from the other side.
I'm David, like that, you know, all the intonation all changes. David. So yeah. Anyway, that's all good. Good to have you on, Kev. Good to have you on.
Thank you for inviting me, Dave.
It's an absolute pleasure, mate. Because I'm interested in shape. Well, I don't know an awful lot about it, to be honest. I did spend some time a couple of years ago in Peru with some Amazonian shamans.
Right.
And did the old ayahuasca with them. And that was fun. Anyway, it wasn't fun, to be honest.
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, I can't say I've tried it, but I've heard a lot about it, yes.
Yeah. They've got another one. It's called San Pedro, which is the
the cactus. Yeah,
the sort of family
peyote.
of peyote. And that was so much better. I mean, it was beautiful. You know, it's like ayahuasca's like. Well, they say the ayahuasca is like the grandmother and gives you a good good slap on the bottom. Yeah. San Pedro's like the granddad.
Chills.
The other way around, and he hugs you. You know. So when you go from ayahuasca to San Pedro, it's like, oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of me talking about that.
A bit more pleasant.
A bit more pleasant indeed. Yeah, absolutely. So, Kev, maybe start by giving us a little overview, your background, how you got to doing what you're doing today. It's sort of normal what we do with all the guests, to be honest. And then we'll plow into all the different things we're going to talk about.
Fair enough. So, up until about 20 years ago, I didn't believe in any of this. I thought it was a total and utter crock of crap.
Right. Okay. Fair dude.
And then I had been teaching martial arts and stuff, so I knew a little bit about meditation and things like that. But my dad died, who was the catalyst into me getting into this. I never had a really good relationship with my dad when I was a kid.
Right.
I got bullied in England, and then we moved to South Africa and I got bullied there. So when we came back from South Africa, and my father went to enroll me in an all-boys school in Plymouth. And I thought, I'm not going to get bullied here.
Good for you, Kev.
So I became the school nutter. So
from one extreme to the other, Kev.
Yeah, well, I wasn't so much fighting and things like that, but it was more like on a Friday afternoon, the kids would have a bit of a collection, give me the money. I'd sneak upstairs into the chemistry lab where they'd taught us how to make chlorine gas in the fume cupboard. So I used to make chlorine gas, but I would leave the fume cupboard door open and all the doors in the school, so the school filled up with chlorine gas, and we'd have to go home early.
It sounds like you're a very popular pupil, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'd pour sodium and potassium down the sink, and when you do that, it catches light, and they'd have to call the fire brigade out. So
I'm surprised you haven't become a chemist, Kev.
Well, there you go. Anyway, my dad was always called down the school, and he was an ex-military copper, and so the punishments were getting worse and worse. And because I'm an Aquarian, I rebel against authority. And so much so that I started hanging around with the Hells Angels and stuff in Plymouth. I went the full hog.
Wow.
My dad and I came to blows one day. He realised I was bigger than he thought I was, and vice versa. So he asked me to leave. So I went and moved up with my gran in London.
Okay.
But it turned out that she was a bit schizo. And so I'd met a guy at work, an Asian lad, and he says, "Why don't you move in with me and my family?" So I did.
Wow.
But I tried to join the army in Plymouth, and they offered me the infantry, and I said no because I wanted to trade. So anyway, when I was 17 and a half, I wanted to join the adult service, and I did. I joined for 12 years as a vehicle mechanic in a REME.
Ah, good.
I then came out, went selling, but after I come out, I wasn't very fit when I left the army, believe it or not. So that was the reason why I took up martial arts, and I became, after a second dan instructor.
Oh wow! What martial art was it, Kev?
It was street fighting. It was called Choi Kwang Do to start with, and then we changed to dynamic self-defense.
Okay.
So we done everything. It was floor work, standing, knives, sticks,
Grappling,
everything.
jiu-jitsu, wrestling.
Yeah. So anyway, my dad, he went to Plymouth one Christmas. We repaired the relationship over the years, and then he went to visit my sister. And he kept complaining of a bad back, but it wasn't actually a bad back. It was septicemia.
Oh, gosh.
And so he was on life support. And then we had to make the decision to turn the machine off, which really angered me. And then I was running a pub at the time as well. And I was trying to keep the village idiots out on the Powder Your Nose Brigade.
You've lived a life, Kev. You've lived a life.
Yeah, and that was winding me up as well. So, yeah, I don't read book reviews in the paper, or I didn't, and I happened to read one about Lorna Burns' Angels in Your Hair.
Okay.
So I asked my ex-wife to go and get me it, and she thought I'd fallen down the stairs and banged my head. Anyway, I did, and it had quite a profound effect on me. So
it was just because of the passing of your dad that sort of inspired you to go and do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Well, I think in a way he sacrificed himself to get me into this. So anyway, she got me the book. I read it. It was quite emotional for me in places. And then I had a conversation with a client in the pub who said, "Oh, I know a bloke who sort you out."
Okay.
So the next minute, a medium called Shane Darby has come down, and the pub's shut, but there's me, him, and my dead dad in the back room of the pub, all bawling our eyes out.
Wow.
Because obviously he could see my emotions and he could feel my dad's as well. And that was the start of the healing between me and my dad.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, he was too far away to go to his meditation classes. So I then had another conversation in the pub with another lady who said, "Oh, my mate goes down the road," to a lady called Sally Wathen. And so I ended up doing a year's spiritual healing with her.
Okay.
And then I went to the Corinthian church to get more experience. I did 3 years kinesiology with her, 2 years crystal healing. But I still realized I had an issue with my dad. So I finally got recommended to a lady called Jeannie Rogers that at the time was living near Banbury. And she was a Peruvian trained shamanic healer. So I went. She said to me I had a heart issue, which I didn't realize I had. And it felt like she had a 12-inch red hot knitting needle and she was shoving it through my heart for about 5 minutes. It was absolute agony.
Charming.
5 minutes anyway.
Gosh.
She did 3 soul retrievals on me. One to a young lady I'd met when I first joined the army. I didn't even realize I'd lost a soul part to her, but there you go.
Wow.
My dad had a part of my soul and I had a part of his, and we had to swap them. And then she said there was a part swimming out to sea at the time and it didn't want to come back. And that was, unfortunately, my marriage coming to an end. But I also knew that my granddad and my dad, they'd both been in naff jobs, in dodgy marriages, because that granddad was married to my schizo gran. But they both retired, hoping to enjoy their retirement, and they both died of heart issues. And so I wanted to break the chain.
Right.
So Jeannie made me journey to the Hall of Akashic Records, where I met all this guy in the robes and looked a bit like me with a beard and all the rest of it. And he had my soul contract. And so he amended it and signed it. I signed it. And then I gave him a pearl on the proviso that when I came back to reality, I would give a pearl. So I went down the local river where there's a bridge, on a bit of a ceremony, chucked a pearl in the river, and then drove home. But about halfway home, I got pushed right back in my car seat on my
Is this while you're driving?
Yes.
There
And
you
I
go.
thought, what the? And then I realised, because I don't get subtle messages, they have to smack me around here with a house brick.
Right.
So they were letting me know that I just completed my side of the bargain, and so they were going to fulfil theirs. And so I've never looked back since.
Do you know when that happened, Kev? Oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
Go on.
No, like, you know, like, you knew this, you know, what you just told me. Did you just like feel that was that? Like, did they sort of tell you that, but in a way that you understood through feeling?
Yes, by pushing my head back like that.
Okay.
You know, because otherwise, you know, if they'd have whispered in my ear or something, it would have gone straight through and out the other side. Nothing to stop it. So, yeah. But I was working at Rolls-Royce at the time. I'd left the pub by then, and I was doing shift work, which enabled me, though, then to start doing part-time healing.
Okay.
So I called myself Connective Therapies at the start, but I kept them all separate. But then I started to combine them all, and I found that obviously that worked. It was more tailor-made to the client. But I've developed even further and evolved even more now. So I'm in the process of changing my name to the Uncommon Heartfelt Touch.
Is this the one? Is that
That's the one? Yeah.
Hey, look at that! I'm
there you go. Technology, eh?
I'm way ahead of you, Kev. Way ahead of you.
Yeah. So I've actually started to introduce magnets.
Okay.
I do use bark flower remedies, sometimes essential oils. I've also recently learned toning and mantra chanting. So
I love mantra.
When I overcome my inhibitions, I bring some of that in as well. So yeah, but I keep being told I'm going to be doing something else. My mum comes through, she's passed recently, and she says, oh yeah, you're going to be branching out. And yeah, well, what will I be doing then, Mother? I can't tell you because you haven't got the knowledge.
It'll all come apparent to you, Kev.
Yeah.
Now, Kev, just got to stop you for 1 minute because we've got like 9 people watching us. So I just want to say to those people, anyone wants to ask Kev a question about what he does, you know, crack on. I'll be able to see your questions. And we've got Mark Gilbert. How are you, Mark? Hope you're well. Hope you're fine.
Hello, Mark.
Hey. So that's nice. So yeah, but you know, give us some comments, some questions. It's always helpful. So sorry about that, Kev. Crack on, mate.
It's all right.
Yeah.
No, I welcome questions because that's what leads the conversation, isn't it? So,
absolutely, it really does. I mean, I've got some questions for you.
Go on, then.
Well, you know, I know you do the kinesiology. It's like a fusion, if you like. Is that right? You do your crystal healing and you combine it all together.
Yes.
I'm assuming. So, what with the shamanic healing techniques? What are we talking about there? Because I find it intriguing.
So I've been taught the old way, where you get a drum, you can journey for people, and then find out there may be a soul part or power of retrieval, whatever it might be. But what I've come to realize is that I believe in clearing everybody's emotional past first, because that's what's caused their illness in the first place, whether they know it or not. So I would sit down and ask a client their personal history, how they got on with mum and dad, were they bullied at school, brothers and sisters, clashed with any teachers, and then we move on to adult life and any dodgy partners they may have had, those that mistreated them or whatever, bullying at work, grief, and especially grief about pets, because most people feel more for their pets than they do humans. And
they're
then
unconditionally loving, aren't they? Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So then I would put them in a state of weakness using kinesiology. Yeah. There's a couple of smoky quartz house bricks that go between their ankles. I use house bricks because I'm not very subtle. I'm a bloke. So, and then I hold these 2 points on the head here.
Okay.
And a point on the arm, which is on the shoulder and on the stomach meridian. So that would clear the negative energies down the arm. But holding these 2 points, if they're stuck in fight and flight,
Yeah.
It brings the blood from the reptile brain at the back to the front and allows them to think about things more logically.
Right.
But also it will bring stuff out of their subconscious, all the stuff that's lurking there that they don't really realize that's messing them up. And then I take them through shamanic scenarios. So they would go and do their own power retrievals from people. They get to say to them whatever it is they really wanted to say and all the stuff that they didn't say.
Okay.
When I ask them to do that, they do it in the head because it's none of my business.
Yeah.
And then that way they don't feel they need to hold back because they don't want me to know. Hopefully at the same time while they're doing this, they're releasing the emotions. So I come with a mascara warning. Especially
box of tissues, Kev.
Say again.
Box of tissues.
Well, yeah, I've got quite a few of them. Yeah, so then we take them through the scenarios, and then at the end of it, I would ask them to forgive them.
Okay.
Not so much for that person's sake, but for their own.
Yeah.
And then forgive themselves for what their part in their downfall, if you like. If they're still in a relationship with a person, we swap balls of love, and then we get to tell them how we would like that relationship to go forward and improve. And then I get them to give permission to their team, their guides and guardian angels, to go and have a word with that person's to help sort it out to everybody's highest good. If they're no longer in their life, then we will cut the cords. If perhaps
can I ask you about cutting the cords?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you my quick experience of that.
Okay.
I was involved with someone many years ago, and her name was Sally. She was a white witch, a beautiful person, yeah. And I did a visualization one day of of my connection with it, and it was like a golden tube, like a tube. It was pure gold, quite fat as well. Yeah. And in my visualization, I sort of cut it with an axe. Must have been a special axe, mate. But as soon as that was cut, I was completely indifferent towards it. That's not like in a cold way. You understand what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, I realise what you're saying.
Weird. I was quite surprised how quick it happened.
Well, while you've got that cord attached, you could both be nicking energy off of each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I think
sometimes as soon as you cut the cord, the surprising thing is they get in touch again because they felt the cord go.
Yeah.
But also, I believe if it's somebody that's passed, they've got things to do on the other side, and you've got to try and move on down here. So you cut the cord, but you can either, if you can't talk to them, you can go and see a medium, and hopefully they can give you the messages and talk to them on your behalf.
Yeah.
So because they don't disappear, that death isn't the end.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a question, Kev. I'm going to have to bring it up if that's all right with you. Question for you. Do you want me to read it out? Hi there, Kev. How do you decide what treatment a client needs to receive? Because you have learned and continue to learn various healing techniques.
Well, Liz, when you first come and we have the consultation and we go through whatever it is that, your personal history and stuff like that, and from that conversation, I know how we can proceed forward. And as I've just said, the emotional thing is what we cut first or clear first as much as possible. And then once we've done that, then I do the more physical techniques like kinesiology to reset meridian lines and things like that, so that the body starts to repair itself. Yeah, because as a healer, we don't fix anything. We're not, we're the catalyst. We sow the seeds and you repair your souls. Yeah. And that might even use crystals, other shamanic techniques. Because the other thing I do, once we've cleared all the emotional stuff, I do a physical healing on you. So that would be energy therapy, shamanic extraction techniques, where my hand's about 12 inches over your body and I get drawn to where the negative energies are. I normally warn the client where they are, then I'll pull them out and blow them away. And then I tell the client in general about the emotion that I'm removing, once we've done all of that, I then end up putting my hands on the client's stomach, because that's where we hold most of our emotions. Pump white light in to bring all the emotional stuff to the surface. I drain it through me, then pump some more white light in to replace it, and then seal it in. And then I do hands-off healing, whether you want to call it spiritual healing, Reiki, whatever, because I've learned Reiki as well.
I was going to ask you that, actually, Kev, because I do Reiki as well, but I like to, I don't know, it feels like my own thing, even though I've been, attuned to Reiki and everything. It's like you put your own thing in there, don't you? So like, you just do your thing. It could be any of those type of healings you've done.
Yes.
I think it's all the same anyway, man.
Well, it all comes from the same place, doesn't it? It's all universal energy. So
you might not know this, but because it was a while ago and you were probably on your Harley Davidson in them days, I don't know. But there used to be a magazine out called Kindred Spirit. And I'm not dissing any types of healing, definitely not, but there was about 5 pages in the back, and there was like about 50 different types of healing, and I was always a bit perplexed by this, because I was thinking, hang on a minute, surely it's all the source of, comes from the source, the main source. Maybe it doesn't. That's only my own thinking. So sorry, I interjected there.
So I'm guided by a team that I work with on the other side, and they tell me what to do. Sometimes while I'm working on it, on someone, I get visions on the inside of my skull. So like recently I did a client earlier, distant healing, and I could see a young lad, and then I got a picture of a dog, and then I had a panda with her, and so the panda, I think, is a power animal that's come in to help her. So then I would tell her what the panda means and why it's come in. Other people, I mean, some of the stuff that I get to help people with is probably quite difficult. I mean, I've helped people overcome grief from where somebody close to them has committed suicide. Breakups in marriages, especially where they've been in a narcissistic relationship and things like that. And because of that, they've been stuck in fight and flight. So they've overloaded their system, and they've got an autoimmune condition because of that sort of thing. So that's where you have to take them out of fight and flight. So then the body gets a chance to reset itself. And then you can start doing the physical fixes to give them their health back.
It's interesting, Kev, because like as healers and therapists, I do my own sort of type of therapy as well. Now, if there was more education, in schools, more education about, because like you hit it nail on the head, actually, about the fight or flight. It's like a pressure cooker for some people. It just builds and builds and builds. And one of the reasons it builds is that they don't know how to manage it, So as shit comes into your life, you manage it. Next bit of shit comes in, you manage it. But there's a lot of people haven't got that education. Like personally, if I get some shit come into my life, well, what is perceived as shit, then I might do some EFT on it, or I might do some other technique. Do you know what I mean?
But it's all lessons. And so I believe in soul contracts. So I've obviously had mine edited. However, when we're upstairs and we're talking to our guides and guardian angels, and we're sitting there and what do I want to experience in this life? What do I want to learn? So we write our stories. We write our stories, we star in our films, and we get the bloody T-shirt.
Well, this is interesting you say that, Kev, because I'm very lucky, me. I'm mostly quite joyful person, I annoy people with my joyfulness, right? Thank you, universe. Do you know what I mean? One of them. But I had this conversation with my friend, actually, because the techniques that I use on myself work really quickly. And we had this little debate, and I said, do you know what? I could have felt crap for 3 months, but I chose not to. No, I believe everything's meant to be. So every moment, everything I'm doing is meant to be. So it's like when I do, the discussion was, she said to me, but Dave, maybe you're meant to experience that for 3 months. And I said, well, obviously I'm not, otherwise I wouldn't have done the technique. Do you see what I mean? So like,
The thing is, though, you may have experienced that for 3 months, but that had come into your life to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Because various places in the body where you may have pain. So earlier we were talking about stomach. So that's about not being able to stomach life, or there's something going on that you can't stomach. Gallbladder is about not having the gall to say or do something, and so on and so forth. So these things are coming in. So you then get born, and you forget your soul contract, and you're stood on the stage of your life, and you experience all these things. So all these people that you've agreed will come in stage right, do whatever it is to you, leave stage left, and leave you this blubbering mess in the middle. But really, if you can step back from the emotion from it and think, what did I want to learn from this? And once you have that realization, it should go away. I'm not saying you might not get the test again, just to make sure.
Well, this is the point, Kev. I mean, I'm well aware of, like, if you hide away from stuff, it's going to come and hit you at some point in the future. The universe will reintroduce it into your life because it's a lesson. Most definitely. I forgot what I was going to say. There you go.
Well, it's like these spiritual people say, oh, I don't want to focus on that. It's negative. I'm only fluffy and light and all the rest of it. But I think they're doing themselves a disservice, because we have a dark side. We have lessons that we're supposed to learn. And if we learned them lessons, we would probably develop even more spiritually.
But it's interesting you say that, because, like, I'm a firm believer in every moment. That's like, we can't even discuss what a moment is, really. But like if you're in the now as much as you can, and so, like, let's say you don't learn those things, like, you're still perfect. Do you see what I mean? In the whole scope of things, everything's perfect in every moment. I mean, when I was on San Pedro, and it could be a load of bollocks, but the main message I got off them, right, off that teacher plant, was everything's a beautiful dance. Whether someone's being murdered, whether someone's getting married, it was that, you know. So I'm just intrigued, though, because, like, you will get some people who don't, and they keep getting those you know, the universe keeps showing it to them, but even they're still being in their perfect moment. Do you see what I mean? It's a bit of a weird one, actually.
But even if you get murdered or something like that, it's quite probably in your soul contract, and it might be the repayment of some sort of karmic debt between you and the murderer. You may have killed him in a past life, and so you have to experience the other side of it.
I was going to ask you about that, because I wanted to talk to you about this, because personally, everything that I'm around is illusionary, right? Because I know, like, the walls are solid, but they're not. It's a massive energy. I know that. Very deep, sort of very deep level, I guess. So lost it again, Kevin. I'm good at this tonight, mate. Oh my god!
You were talking. I was talking about karmic debt, and
that was it. It was about karma. Because everything's sort of illusionary to me to some extent. And that everything's a beautiful dance. For me, there is no good and there is no bad. It can't exist, because basically that's like talking duality, really, you know, upside down, good, bad, and everything. So everything just is. To me, that's my truth.
Though you need to have duality, because there's a constant battle, if you like, or a constant push and pull between, what do you want to call it, light and dark, negative, positive, because if you didn't, there would be a vacuum and nothing would move and you wouldn't learn anything.
Well, you I think you would, you know. It's like, in a way, like, for me, I'm only telling you my truth. For me, right, everything's illusionary, right? So whatever comes into my life, I know it's bullshit. So that's, like, for me personally, it's like, wow, this is interesting. Do you see what I mean? Whereas previously I'd be like, you know, bothered or stressed out. Don't get me wrong, I do get stressed out.
But you've done a lot of work, and that's why you come from that understanding, whereas others may not, and therefore they get caught up in the emotion.
They do.
I mean, even I should imagine that me and you, we get angry at times, or we get fed up or sad or whatever.
Absolutely.
we know it's a lesson that we have to overcome.
Yes, exactly. Getting back to that point of being in the moment, because when you're in the moment, there is no past, there is no future, there's only now, and there's no bullshit in the now. Do you see what I mean?
But people do carry baggage forward from their past, which they need to clear so that they then can be in the moment and move forward. Yeah.
I mean, we can't. I'd love to be in the moment all the time, Kev, as you probably know yourself, you know. But it is nice to have those little moments of being in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I had a moment a few months ago. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I just my ego put it on Facebook that I was feeling sorry for myself, and then I took myself over the park and I wandered around and grounded myself. I mean, I was going to bin it all and go and stack shelves in Asda's or something. But then I came back and I had like 200 messages of like, "Don't you dare!"
All your guides be going mad, Kev. What are you doing?
Yeah. But I've learned to trust, and I know that at the moment I'm evolving again. And I know I have to move soon. I've been told that I'm going to be diversifying or doing something different. I haven't got a clue where I'm moving to. I haven't got a clue what the diversification is, but I just trust the universe. It's had my back all the way through, so it'll have it again. So
I'm exactly like you, Kev. I've got that trust as well. I absolutely believe everything's going to be okay. I don't know why. It's not like some stupid idea. It's actually what I feel. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm connected with this.
Well, it's feeling. Like all this stuff that the world is going through at the minute. It does seem to be really negative and dark and horrible.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But I know that once we've got to go through this, because out of chaos comes order. Absolutely. And when we get through the chaos, it's going to be brilliant. Yeah. It's just how much chaos and how deep the chaos is before we get to the order. Yeah. And we volunteered to be here to experience this. So
absolutely.
So I always say that when I get back up there and I meet my higher self, I'm going to give him such a slap. It's unbelievable to send me down here to experience this.
Well, yeah, indeed. I know what you're saying. It's a bit of a strange one. It's a very interesting world. It really is.
It certainly is. Yes.
Do you,
and at the moment, you're not getting bored in it, are you? Because it's changing so rapidly. It's unbelievable.
Mate, it's right. Do you know what? I've got no idea what's going on in the world. I haven't even got a telly or anything. Yeah.
Well, I've got a telly, but I watch YouTube documentaries on it.
Yeah, I do that.
I don't read a paper or anything like that.
It's like my friends say, "Oh, did you hear about that?" No, I didn't.
No, you're probably better off not knowing, because then you don't get yourself wound up about it.
Being a hypnotherapist, you understand, like the power of the TV. It's like its brainwashing capabilities and all the different narratives that were thrown at us and stuff. And I actually think the TV was actually brought in to just keep everyone happy for like 5 or 6 hours a night until they got up in the morning and trudged off to work again, you know.
But you understand it through hypnosis. That, I mean, people watch Coronation Street or something, and one of the actors dies in his role, and then the whole country goes into mourning. You know what I mean? As if it's real.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, mate? Absolutely. Right, let's see. Kev, I was going to ask you about the. You mentioned before you did some. What was it called? Like flower remedies, was it?
Yeah, Bach flower remedies.
That's it. I knew it had come through. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's 38 different ones.
Yeah.
Each one works on a different emotion.
Oh, wow.
And through muscle testing, the client selects which ones they want. And then we tell them why they've selected particular flower remedies, and then recommend that they go away and take them, because it stops them having a healing empowerment. It also carries on allowing them to subconsciously release the emotions and stuff like that. Essential oils can do the same, but I'm not at the moment very clued up with essential oils. So, and there's obviously hundreds of essential oils, so I can't afford to get them all, because I physically have to have them to put on the test.
The flower remedies, the same as I can't even say it, homeopathy.
Yeah, they are. homeopathic.
Homeopathic.
That's
it.
it.
Well done, Kev.
Yeah, homeopathic doses that, but work on. Well, less is more. That's the thing with homeopathy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they do make hell of a difference to people and
I had it myself once. I went to see a lady up in Petersfield. It was amazing. I took my daughter there as well. She had a urine infection for about 5 years. It was a bit of a nightmare.
So what was she peed off about then?
I've got no idea, mate. But she's believe it or not, she's actually, I would say, I'm not going to be biased here, but I would say she's quite a balanced young lady, quite mature. She's only 15. She was about like 6 then. And for the, she had in a loving family, and all that. So I don't know, but obviously there is.
But you never know what goes on in a teenager's mind, do you?
Or whatever, Yeah.
There
is definitely an emotional root to it, definitely.
Yes.
But it really did help her, and it helped me as well. And actually, this lady did healing, and I went to see her, and she was doing some healing, and it was really profound. She got to my heart, it was a bit like Reiki. She was a little bit away from her body. And when she got to my heart, I just felt this flood of energy, and I just burst into tears. I had no idea what I was crying about, but obviously
it doesn't matter, though, does it? As long as you're releasing it.
It was amazing, mate. I loved it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love those.
Quite often, part of the body scan is I detect stuff on the heart, and I know that they then have a heart wall on.
Yeah.
Because they've been hurt in the past, they're putting the energetic breastplate on to stop them getting hurt again.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I like the idea of that. Actually, like a protection thing, isn't it?
Yes, but if you leave it on for too long, it starts to affect the central meridian and therefore your autoimmune and endocrine systems.
Yeah.
But also, if you want to get in another relationship, it may hold you back because you might not want to commit because of that fear of getting hurt again. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting that actually. Yeah. Hey, brilliant. This is interesting. Do you sort of you do a bit of drumming, don't you?
I do drumming.
Yeah. Do you like when you're doing your sessions? Do you sort of get the drum going and create that that sort?
Well, I don't so much do the traditional drumming in a healing session anymore.
Okay.
However, I do sessions where I would take people on journeys to create their power place, maybe meet their power animal or their spirit guide, something like that. Or just a general drumming night where we just let loose with a bunch of people with drums. So so I do that sort of thing. I just stay away from the middle world because that's just as dodgy as this world. So
Yeah,
take them on gentle journeys and places where they can go to, like their power place is a healing place. They can go there whenever they feel stressed and just chill and relax.
Can you do this online as well, Kev?
So again,
can you do all of this work online? Obviously, you can, I guess. So
I do remote healing.
Okay.
I have a white teddy bear, if you want to call it like that. So it's a polar bear, and I call him Polarity. But I can actually feel the client's issues through the teddy bear.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how I do the transfer of energy. So it would be like a normal 1 hour session.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it on the polar bear, and normally the person at the other end gets to feel it as well because of the feedback afterwards.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I know it works.
I like that.
Yeah. Wow. So I may even have a picture of the client so I can focus and send the intent, but then it all goes through Polarity. And then, like, I've done quite a few recently, and they've all given me brilliant feedback about how it's changed them or what they felt during it. So I know it works. It's nice confirmation for me.
Beautiful. Have you got a couple of examples of of incredible moments when you've been helping someone, something that sort of like took you aback?
Okay, so it isn't true. It's not only ladies that give birth.
Really?
So I met a gentleman up in the northwest who was going to a shamanic healer every couple of weeks, but he knew he had 4 entity attachments. Wow. And I was a bit skeptical. I didn't really know his shamanic person he was going to, but whether they knew what they were doing or they were just taking his money or whatever. But anyway, I ended up house sitting for my niece in Cumbria, and he was about half an hour away. So he came up for a session. And so I was set up, and I had a mate there at the same time as well. He was watching. And he said to me, please don't do any entity removals. And I said, yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, so I started doing my thing. And then I was just about to put my hands on his stomach. And he started having contractions on the bed.
Wow.
I got told to take the baby out. Wow. And so when I sort of energetically looked in his stomach, I could see this like 9-year-old African child curled up in the fetus position.
Wow.
So I reached in and took it out and gave it to my guides to take away.
Yeah.
And then carried on the healing, and his contraction stopped.
Wow.
And then at the end, I said to him, look, I'm sorry, I had to do the entity removal. And he said, yeah, that's the one. That's the main one that's keeping all the others there. So as soon as that went, the others could go as well. So, but yeah, so I've helped a bloke give birth.
Wow, that's crazy, Kev. That's proper crazy, mate. I tell you.
Well, nothing's crazy in my world anymore. So
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Any other interesting ones?
Well,
without naming any names, obviously.
No, a lot of them are like, say, mother and daughter become estranged and they haven't spoke for a couple of years or something like that. And I remember I was at a venue in Wigan, and I had this lady who'd come with some other friends that were coming in afterwards, and her mother I'd never told her in 40 years that she loved her. They become a little bit estranged and things like that. So I took her through the scenario with her mother. And apparently, while we were actually on the table working, because when she went out to the cafe, her mother had sent her a message, I love you, don't you? And she hadn't said it in 40 years, because the woman nearly fell off a chair in the cafe. And the next person coming in told me. And so there's quite a lot of that going on. One or the other kind of hands out the olive branch, and then they start reconnecting again.
It's interesting that, actually, because I've heard of instances of someone who might do some EFT or something on their mum or whatever, and somehow, because there's no like space and time, like energy, it's like boom, the mother all of a sudden is different to her, she's different.
Yeah, it used to take a little while. Sometimes it might take a month or 3 months or even a year. But now I'm finding it's instant.
Wow.
They leave, and then that person will ring them when they get home or something like that. So, yeah.
We've got another question, Kev. Liz. We like you, Liz. Okay. Do you keep in touch with your clients to know their lives have changed since having these experiences with you?
Yeah.
So, it's always important, I think. Well, go on, Kev.
Yeah. So I do like to keep in contact with clients. Some clients have to return because they're still going through stuff, or they haven't released stuff, or they need the physical fixes, and that might take 2 or 3 sessions. But I always like to keep in touch with clients, so I get the feedback as to how it may or may not have changed their lives. And a lot of people say it is life-changing, because I had a lady recently, she's been in the same job 10 years. She had a fear of going for job interviews and stuff like that. And we did the work on her, and then within 2 days, she's been promoted at work to a new job. So it's all about raising the vibration. And once you raise the vibration, you're attracting the newer energies. Exactly. And everything starts to happen for you.
It's interesting you say that, because I've always been a firm believer in positivity,
Yes.
And it's definitely, I believe, worked for me, definitely. And I promote it a lot. I've got a little TikTok channel, and I'm always on there talking about the importance of being nice to yourself. Because if someone come up to you, like sometimes,
not just yourself, others as well, whether they deserve it or not.
Absolutely. But there's always that scenario, Kev, where you do something and you go, "You fucking idiot!" You're talking to yourself like that. And I say to people, if someone come up to you, right, and said, "You fucking idiot," how would you react? You'd be upset about it. So like,
Well,
like,
but the thing is as well, with that intent that they're focusing on when they're saying that to you, they're sending energy at you. And there's quite often when I scan people, especially on their backs, I find little darts, energetic darts, and that's the thought form that somebody sent at them. Where they called it a name.
It's ironic that we'll say these words to ourselves, Kev. Going back to what you're saying, if you want to higher your vibration, one of the foundations, I believe, is self-love. That's like, wow, you got self-love, you're like fucking jet plane. It's a good start. So if you're talking to yourself like everything you do, because I'm sure a lot of people do it, they'll be driving, they'll miss a turn, and fuck's sake, you idiot. It could be anything. And it's quite interesting.
I must admit though that I'm one of these, probably because of my upbringing and then being in the army and stuff like that. I've never taken myself seriously. I always joke about yourself and things like that. But I also feel it keeps my ego in check, and I can still get through doors and things with my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's important, because like, with confidence, when you got a lot of when you have a lot of confidence, it's like love and hate. It's like minuscule fine line between the two things,
Yes.
And it's a bit like that with confidence and like cockiness, But we like you said, go to the park and ground yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But also, I think as you work on yourself and you release the negativity, and you start to shine more, you find that a lot of people won't come near you because they're of a more negative nature or a lower vibration, and they don't gel. You might get some energy vampires coming because if you're shining brightly, you attract a lot of moths. But instead of lowering your vibration, I think you should shine brighter, and you'll get rid of the moths.
It's absolutely spot on, Kev. That's the way it works. Definitely. You attract like into your life often.
I have a lot of ladies that they're very empathic. Whether they realize it or not, but because of that, they attract blokes, mainly narcissists, because they think they can heal them. The narcissist reels them in. The narcissist never wants to be healed.
No.
And then once he's reeled them in, then he mistreats them and puts them down and stuff, because he knows that otherwise they would realize that it's his issues and that they're far better than that, and they would leave. So that's the only way they can keep.
It goes back to that fundamental thing of self-love. If you've got self-love, you wouldn't put up with that for very long. You'd be fucking off ski because your vibration wouldn't be able to do it,
Although a lot of narcissists are quite clever about how they program people and reel them in. So
they are to be fair. And you could be 2 years in a relationship and they could be little subtle things you don't really notice. It's always people on the outside looking in that go, come on, can't you see it? And you're like, well, actually I can't.
They say love is blind.
They do. No,
yes,
absolutely. I like that. So we've covered the shamanic side of things. We've talked about the homeopathic stuff and the healing. What other things what are you planning? I know you said you've got things in store and you're not sure what they're going to be, but have you got any plans? Are you going to be doing any workshops or like healing sessions?
Just before Christmas, I did do a 6-week beginners healing course. That went quite well.
Brilliant.
I'm probably just waiting maybe till about March time, and I'll probably do another one again. People are still struggling after Christmas and stuff financially.
Is this a face-to-face one, Kev? Like in a hall?
Yeah, well, I only have like 6. I had 6 pupils, and so it was quite intimate. And yes, there's a bit of technical stuff you need to do, but then it was more about feeling and sensing energy.
Was this online though, Kev, or was you?
No, I did it at home here.
I think it's better when you're with people. I get the internet and Zoom since COVID and all that. A lot of people are working on it, but personally, I prefer when they're next to me, because I don't know.
If you're going to be doing healing, it's more about feeling and sensing and trying to listen to your guides and what they're telling you to do. And you can't really do that online, and especially if you're on your own, you've got nobody to practice on, have you? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, Kev, how long has it been since you started part-time from Rolls-Royce doing the healing?
Okay, so I've actually now been doing it full-time for about 10 years.
Bloody hell, it's a long time.
And then previously, before that, it was probably about 5 or 6 years part-time. And then another 6 years learning all of this stuff. So
a lot of experience, mate.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. So you
we
never
all
stop.
We all do, mate.
And that's what I mean. I know I'm going through what shamanically you would call it a death and rebirth at the moment. I'm changing. My healing's changing. I might have to move. So I know everything's up in the air at the moment. It's
quite exciting, though, I bet, yeah.
Well, I welcome it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it just.
Well, when I decided to split from my wife, she was my biggest overhead, so that meant I could take a small redundancy payment from Rolls-Royce and leave. We then sold the house. I mean, that was interesting in itself. I mean, the house, there's nothing wrong with it. It's 3 double bedrooms, detached, garage.
Yeah.
But the couple that had been in there before were quite violent with each other.
Left the old energy in.
Although my ex and I, we had a few verbal disagreements, we weren't knocking hell out of each other.
Nah.
And also I was doing the healing in the house, so it was raising the vibration.
Yeah.
And so it was on the market for a year. We were not getting any viewings. And I happened to go to a show, and one of my medium mates turned around and said that I needed to go back and talk to the spirits of the house.
Oh, wow.
So I did. So I went back and said, "Oi, look, guys, you got to let me go," because it was on a low-cost endowment that was due in 3 years. And I said, I can't pay it anyway, so I'm going to lose it anyhow. And as soon as I did that, within 3 weeks, this guy turned up, viewed it, wanted to buy it, and I had to move out all of a sudden. But even coming to the house I'm in now, all of that fell into place. The universe was looking after me, you know.
God bless the universe. I love the universe.
I was going to Manchester for a week working. Then I was off to France doing some aromatherapy and stuff.
Wow.
And then coming back to house sit for my niece in Cumbria. So I had to quickly dump all my stuff in the house on the ground floor and then bugger off. And then come back 3 weeks later and sort it all out.
It is great. I don't know what your relationship is. Right, I call it the universe. God knows what it is, but I talk to it anyway. But like we have a bit of a laugh, me and mine, whatever it is.
It's not quite so funny sometimes though when there's a harsh lesson to learn. But
I've had a couple of them. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but one day my life was, if I'm honest, a little bit too joyful, right? And I was thinking, bloody hell, I've got it easy here. So I said to the universe, universe, give it to me with both barrels.
Oh dear.
In fact, I think it was 5 shotguns all strapped together. But do you know the beautiful thing was that that experience changed my life. Yes. So I'm a firm believer, Kev. However bad something is going on in somebody's life, there is some sunlight in there. There's some positivity in there. There's a lesson in there, like you would say, definitely. And it's a matter of being able to see it and then, moving on with that.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it's all about vibration, isn't it? And the higher the vibration you are, the better the things are that you're going to attract.
Yes.
And if you're stuck thinking about what you don't want, you attract more of what you don't want.
Yeah.
So you forget all that and go and attract what you do want. So just recently, because of everything that's going on at the moment, I've gone and joined the Nottingham New Earth Society.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people, about 30, 40 people with different skills getting together.
Sounds really good.
Create what they want to create going forward. And so it's a very good idea. It's in its infancy at the moment. And I know there's loads of other people out there doing the same thing. So, watch this.
I think something's got to change, Kev, because the world's all fucked up, mate. Proper.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, if I hope no one gets offended with my bad language. It does come out occasionally. I thought if you're going to do this, you got to be yourself.
Yep. Yeah. But no, you're right. And there is a load of skullduggery and things that are being exposed at the moment.
Yeah.
And everything that we thought was true isn't true.
Yeah,
And
the worst thing is, Kev, if you talk about stuff like this, you know, what is it? What are we? You're
yeah.
You know the word.
Tinfoil hat wearer.
Yeah. Or a conspiracy therapist. It's like, oh my God, the words could be so
Yeah,
powerful.
but most of the conspiracies from 10 years ago are truth now.
Yeah, exactly. I remember there was a good one that I liked actually, which was Freedom Fighter. Do you remember the Freedom Fighters when we were younger?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, they ended up being called terrorists.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of them weren't, you know, dodgy as you like, but just the change of that word made.
But that's something as well.
Vibrational
Whenever you
difference.
fight something,
Yeah,
then you're coming from a place of anger and fear and all the rest of it.
yeah,
And it's always power always wins
yeah,
over fighting.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you stand in your power and come from a place of love and stuff like that, as hard as it may be, and carry on trusting,
Yeah.
you'll eventually overcome it. So look at Gandhi overcoming the British Empire with power rather than fighting.
Yeah.
And even Mandela, he started off fighting and then realized, oh, that might not be right.
Yeah.
Let's come from a place of power instead. And look what he achieved.
Yeah.
So it's proven that there's stuff out there that you can do from a place of power.
Absolutely. Or a place of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Bloody hell. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm forgetting a lot of things tonight. I'm going to have to take my tablets.
Is that for the dementia?
Yeah, well, probably. I'm getting old now, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, tell me about it. I get up in the morning, I have to spray myself with WD-40 on various joints.
I don't believe it. So do you keep yourself? I know, like, we do our best to keep ourselves on a high vibration. Do you do you watch, do you eat a healthy diet? Do you do any exercise and stuff like that? Do you try and incorporate that side of things as well? Or is that something you're looking at? Okay,
so I've had a few health issues that I've had to confront. Some were still related to my dad and the heart issue because I've had a heart problem.
Okay.
Only it killed my dad and granddad, but because of the soul contract change, yes, I've had to go through it, but it didn't kill me.
Right. Okay.
And then just recently in February, due to our buggy friend, I got pneumonia and pleurisy. And my mum's come through a medium and said I had them worried. They thought I was going home sooner than expected. Reason being, I was out of it on morphine, and apparently the doctor was umming and ahhing about whether to ventilate me.
Right.
Because I asked him at the end, how bad was I? And he says, we were going to ventilate you. And I said, well, I'm glad you didn't. And he says, why is that? And I said, because you would have killed me like all the rest. And he just gave me a dirty look and walked off. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Most of them. So, so I'm still overcoming that. I should be going out and getting a bit more exercise, but it's a bit King Billy out there at the minute, so
it's bloody freezing out there.
Doing it. I did meet a guy recently who's given me some qigong exercises to do, which I'm trying to do them. They open my chest up and improve my breathing and stuff like that.
Have you tried cold showers ever?
No, not with my heart condition. I think.
That's probably not recommended. Probably.
No, I have done a bit of Wim Hof breathing and stuff though. So but people keep saying about the cold showers, but no.
There's a great book by a guy called James Nestor. His book's called Breathe. It's an amazing book. It's all about nose breathing and the things that happens in the body through mouth breathing is like unbelievable. Great book actually. Anyone's watching, James Nestor, Breathe.
Yeah. Well, my mother's come through and she said the two issues I've got is I'm not eating enough green leafy vegetables and my body needs more oxygenating.
Right.
So
I'll tell you what, I've got another thing I'm into, Kev, is me water. I love water. I've got a massive connection with water. and at the minute I'm on alkaline water.
Right.
Supposed to be really good for your body, you know, really good for you.
Yes.
So,
well, I know if I get my own property rather than rent, then I'll go through the expense of fitting one of these new fandangled water filters and all the rest of it. Because it was quite funny. A friend of mine, he runs a campsite in Leicestershire, and he had the guy turn up once a year because he's got a borehole and a well.
Oh yeah.
And he was supposed to be testing the water to make sure it was, you know, consumable.
That's the
However, he went to this tap and turned it on, took his sample and disappeared. And then about a week later, he comes screeching back into the place and he says, "Oh, you got to stop using that well water and all the rest of it."
All right.
So my mate says, "Well, where did you get the water from?" And he showed him the tap and he says, "That's mains water." So just imagine he's gone away and said it's unfit for human consumption and it's mains water.
I did a video on YouTube. I got another YouTube channel called Sublimables for You, and I said I had an epiphany with water only about like 2 years ago. I was in a swimming pool of all places, and then all of a sudden it was like the first time I was ever in water, and some weird thing happened, and then I just was thrust towards water in every way possible. And it was fascinating. Water, Emoto, I can't remember his first name, Japanese scientist. He would look at water.
Oh, Matsuro Emoto.
Yeah, exactly. You know, playing music to it and the different structures, the molecular structures. And then there was a lady called Vida Austin. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
Well, if you imagine that our bodies are 75-80% water, and then we're sending negative energies at people or ourselves, what we're doing to ourselves.
There's a lady called Vida Austin, and what she'd do is she'd get a Petri dish, right, with about 2 ml of water in it, and she would put the Petri dish over the top of a photograph, right?
Right.
Then put the dish in the freezer. I think it was 3 minutes 45 seconds, if about that. Take it out. So the ice was forming, and she would see the picture in the ice.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many experiments now proving that water's got a memory, and like you say, the water's falling. You know.
Yes.
And there's lots of dodgy energies about, but apparently it's a lot to do with the mains water. Is it goes through like pipes and then it goes to 45-degree turn, 45, you know, and water likes to roll over rock,
let alone what the pipes are made out of, and then what they're putting in the water in the first place.
But tell you what you can do. I mean, I have healing baths, so I'm in the water and I give love to the water. I actually do this because I'm into my water. If I'm drinking water, and all you got to do is just give it thanks, you know. And that's probably enough just to change the molecular structure of it. You know?
Yeah, because that's the other thing as well. Even with your food, if you send it healing before you eat it,
especially McDonald's, Kev.
Oh yeah, lovely. Is that food then? Is it?
Sometimes you've got to have one, mate. You know.
Yeah, kill your kids with kindness. Take them to McDonald's.
Eating all day. It's 2:30, and there's
even your bloody dog won't eat McDonald's.
But you force yourself to go up there and have one. I don't care. Everyone's guilty of that.
Yeah, I ain't been in McDonald's for years.
Yeah.
Or KFC or any of the others. I must admit, I'm naughty sometimes. I will do the fish and chip shop.
Yeah, I don't mind a fish and chip. We've got another question. We were talking about breathing. Is that a physical problem, Liz, or is that just that you just naturally want to breathe through your mouth? What you want to do is, when you go to bed, people put tape on their lips, you know, so they can't mouth breathe while they're sleeping. So they're constantly nose breathing.
I think they ought to do that on all women.
Watch it, right?
So I like living life on the edge. You're all right.
He was only joking, everybody. Brilliant. I don't know. Well, look, Kev, we're sort of. I think we're coming. You know, we've discussed lots of things, and we're sort of coming to the time to wrap things up. I think. Is there anything else you want to? I'll tell you what I will say. Is there anyone who's watching now? I can see people watching at the moment. Does anyone want to ask any questions? And Liz has just said you're funny, Kev. What about me, Liz? Aren't I funny then? So does anyone want to ask any other questions? Bless them.
Yeah, I should be on the stage, Liz, sweeping it.
He should.
Yeah. So
go on.
if I could just say a little bit more about me then. So I don't just work from my home in Long Eaton, which is near East Midlands Airport. I've got venues. I've got 2 or 3 venues in Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And then also one in Eccleston, which is up in Lancashire near Chorley.
Oh, wow.
So I do like to travel. And if anybody can get 4 or 5 people together, I'll go and do house visits. Because that's something I did once when I was still living in the house with my ex.
Yeah.
And she was bringing all the outlaws over from Ireland. And I didn't want to be there at the time because of obviously splitting up.
Yeah.
So I put it on Facebook that anybody put me up for a night and feed me, I would do a healing on them. So I started in Chesterfield, then I went to Bournemouth.
Wow.
I always forget this town's name, but I'm a little bit further along the coast. And I went to Glastonbury.
I mean, it could have been an ex-murderer.
And then back home again.
Yeah, come round my house.
Yeah, and then another time I've done it again, and there's a lady, a medium in, well, she's in Tor Point, but Plymouth, called Julie Poole, and she says, well, come down here. And I says, are you sure? You never met me before. I could be a mad axe murderer.
Yeah, exactly.
And she says, no, I've checked you out with upstairs. Come on down. So, yeah, I went and spent a weekend with her and her family and had a real good laugh. So, it's brilliant.
Do you know what? What a great idea, to be fair. I might try that when next time I want to go on holiday, go online. Anyone in Spain can put me up for a week. You get healing every day.
It's not worth sharing anything on Facebook, Kayla. Yeah. Go on Telegram or something like that. You can share to your heart's content.
I wonder why you were in Facebook jail, Carla. Is it Carla? Yeah, Carla.
Yeah.
You're being naughty then.
I've given up sharing on Facebook.
Yeah, I put a post up the other day actually talking about Facebook. It was about some doctor in Texas who was working with, I can't even remember what it was, but it was to do with cancer. Yeah. Anyway, he created this thing. It was like a mixture of different sort of amino acids. I don't know. I'm probably saying the wrong thing. But anyway, he created something and he manufactured it. And all these people were getting better that were like stage 4 cancer. And, people were going to see him. And the FDA, the American Food and Drug, or whatever they are, they went after him big time. They took him to court 6 or 7 times with grand juries, and it always went in his favor. And he's still actually practicing today, helping people with cancer. They took it off. They took it off Facebook.
The Dallas Buyers Club it was about AIDS, the film, but it was really about cancer. Yeah. And Kevin Trudeau was selling cancer cures. And he was making people better. So they arrested him and jailed him for 2 years. And then you've got that couple over here that was invented GMAF, and it was curing cancer. And then they had to do a runner to France. But even over there, I think his wife got arrested and she's still in jail.
I mean, with this guy, they had tumours and the tumours reduced. Apparently, he found that in people's bones, or I can't know, it was their urine. I don't know. They were missing something. He discovered that people who had cancer were missing this particular thing in their body.
Yes.
So he created it, and he helped a lot of people. And it's absolutely true. He did, and he's a proper doctor. I put it on Facebook so people could check it out, and they said they fact checked me and said it was a load of bollocks, and I was like, what? I was going, man. But that's
even truth. I shared things from a government website, and Fast turned around and said it's not true. I said, well, I know they don't know what they're talking about half the time, but hey, it's in black and white on the government website. So,
do you know what I say is that for me, the only way forward for us is for people to get into their power, and in a way, we help people do that. We help them get into power. And they probably, the tides will turn when people realize who they truly are and what they truly are. This incredible, beautiful manifestation of existence. It's like what happens in your arm when you move it. If you could see it, you'd be like, "What the fuck? That's amazing!" Do you know what I mean? And it's like, what a bullshit.
Well, it's already happening, isn't it? Because you've got the People's Health Alliance, and they're starting to get people together now, doctors, therapists, stuff like that, and doing alternative treatments on people. I mean, I've done a few doctors, and I take the mickey out of them. I say, what are you doing here? This is the dark side, you know what I mean? And then they say, well, or they'll say, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm an holistic therapist. Oh, right, you fix the ones that we can't.
Yeah, well, that's often.
You know,
often
I mean, we
the
can't
way.
fix everybody, because if it's physical, then you need a doctor.
Again, the other problem again, and I'm being a bit controversial tonight, maybe, but again, you know, it's easier to give someone a pill because some fucker's making a lot of money off it, you know.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's why they don't want the alternative cures for cancer, because there's no money in it, is there?
Yeah,
it's sad.
Well, look, mate, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, mate. I hope you enjoyed it too, Kev. And I hope anyone who's watching has enjoyed it. And I'd just like to say, if you are watching and you'd very kindly subscribe to the Freedom Mind UK, A Chat with a Therapist YouTube channel, because the more people who subscribe to that, you know, YouTube will show the videos more, and people like Kev can get his message out, what he does, and other people that we've had on. And next week I've got Stephen Blake on, who does pain to go. So he helps people with chronic pain. So that should be interesting. Hopefully, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
So Kev, look, it's been an honor. We'll have to. Well, I want you to stay on for a minute when I stop going live, anyway. So just hold on there. But I want to say thanks for coming on, mate. It's been
thank you for inviting me, Dave. It's been a pleasure.
It's a blimmin' pleasure. Absolutely. So, and everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. And Supersonic, thank you so much. Really interesting learning a little about Kev. That was Vicky Rowling. So there you go. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week with Stephen Blake if you want to tune in. And he's going to talk all about chronic pain and how he manages to get rid of it. So, bye to you all.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Woohoo!